Hey, hello and welcome everyone to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host Liam, aka Hemvar. I have the one and only Arvazek with me again. If you watched, we did a tag before, but this is my brother Cullen. So
Hi.
yes, hi. I thought this would be a fun video to record because we're going to be talking about a book that Cullen recommended to me. Actually, at the point this comes out, the review probably won't be up. I will have a spoiler for your review though. But of course, that is Christie Golden's Lord of the Clans. It's a Warcraft novel. So yeah, I just finished this yesterday. Cullen finished it forever ago.
Like 4 years, I think, roughly 5.
Sounds all right. This is the first Warcraft novel I've ever read. Honestly, I enjoyed it to the point where I think I could probably read another one or a World of Warcraft one, probably more likely, right? I remember I thought it was
Hopefully
funny
not.
because I was like, I'm interested in reading one because I had just gotten a copy of a Guild Wars novel, which I haven't even read yet. But I was like, what's a good like Warcraft one or World of Warcraft one? He was like, Lord of the Clans, like Christy Golden. I was like, that's number 2 in a series.
Sure is.
What's
Look,
that first
everyone,
one about, actually?
which one what is it called? Is it Day of the Dragon?
I know it's by a different author. That sounds kind of right, though.
Give me a second.
Does it say at the beginning of this book?
I don't
No,
know.
it doesn't. Doesn't look like it does.
No, stop. Wow. You're going to have to edit this one.
Yes. Oh, it is Day of the Dragon. It says at the back. It's by
Okay.
Richard A. Knack or something.
I can't remember. The world of Azeroth teemed with wondrous creatures of every kind, mysterious elves, hardy dwarves walked among tribes of man in relative peace and harmony until the arrival of the demonic army known as the Burning Legion shattered the world's tranquility forever. Now orcs, dragons, goblins, and trolls all vie for supremacy over the scattered warring kingdoms, part of a grand malevolent scheme that will determine the fate of the World of Warcraft. A terrifying upheaval among the highest ranks of the world's wizards sends the maverick mage Ronin on a perilous journey into the orc-controlled lands of Khazmodan. The orcs controlled Khazmodan? Wow, that's news to me. That's kind of cool. That's where the dwarves are and the gnomes.
Oh.
What Ronan uncovers is a vast, far-reaching conspiracy darker than anything he ever imagined, a threat that will force him into dangerous alliance with ancient creatures of air and Re, if the world of Azeroth is to see another dawn. That's literally what it says. I mean, it sounds interesting. I believe Ronin was the first. I don't remember what they're called. They're called like avatars or something. I can't remember. They're essentially what the Avatar is in the Avatar: Last Airbender. They're a really strong mage that protects every humans,
Interesting.
the Alliance. I don't remember what they're called, man. They're not called avatars, but they're something like that.
That's okay. So, I mean, what it'll become immediately obvious in this video is I know nothing, almost nothing about Warcraft. I have played WoW before, but I've only really ever played it with Cullen, and I didn't really get into. I've never played the Warcraft games.
Guardian.
But Guardian,
They're
okay.
called Guardians.
So that's interesting. Is that guy important in Warcraft? I'd imagine then. That's the Alliance side of things. So
yeah, Ronin, I don't even know. I assume that's what he is.
I wonder if he died like.
Well, that's kind of how
make it to Warcraft.
And how they work, to be honest. He appears in the Wrath of the Lich King expansion as the leader of the Kirin Tor. The Kirin Tor are those mages I was talking about. So he is not.
Are these
Guardian?
I've never played Warcraft, but I imagine are these like leaders of like factions, like of armies or whatever in Warcraft? Like I don't.
What?
Do you know? Like the books is that guy? That guy might be one. Like Ronin is.
Ronin
Thrall
is the
one?
leader of the Kirin Tor. Thrall is the leader of the Horde at that time.
Okay, yeah. Okay, sweet. Okay, so this book is about Thrall. That's the guy on the cover. He's behind us as well. You can kind of see him, but
yeah, it's the same picture. You can actually see the Horde symbol on his pecker cover. I don't know what that's called. What are those called? They have a name.
Codpiece?
Yeah, codpiece. You can see that's the symbol of the Horde on his codpiece.
That little like cross thing with like a round top.
Yeah, because that's that's a spoiler, huh? I don't know.
Well, so I mean, That's the thing about this book is I feel like in Warcraft he's the leader of the Horde.
Yeah.
And in a good chunk of World of Warcraft, he's the leader of the Horde. So basically, I don't even think that's much of a spoiler. This is that origin story.
Yeah, but I was just
Essentially,
gonna
right?
say whose armor that is, which could be taken as a spoiler.
Okay. I mean, I think honestly, okay, I want to say this. I didn't love this book. I did think it was good. I think the ending, like the last 70 or so pages, is better than most of the rest of the book.
Yeah, 100%.
That's because it's just the climax.
Yeah, but you also have to think that the last 70 pages of the book is almost a third of the book.
That's true. This book is tiny. It's not even 300 pages.
Yeah, it's 270 pages, roughly.
Yeah, so it's a very short. It's really easy to get through, honestly. But the first paragraph, so from the prologue, is actually one of the most like engaging hooks I've read
That's
in a
why
book in
I
a
read
long
the whole
time.
book.
So I was actually really impressed with it. I was like, because I mean, it goes into a lot of stuff that's not. I mean, it's important for background information, like Gul'dan and like the Horde thing and like his deal with like demons or whatever. But it's not like story's not a ton about that. It's basically Thrall picking up the pieces of of the Horde, basically.
Yeah, the clans.
So, yeah.
To become the lord of the clans. There's only really like, I don't know. I want to say there's like 5 major orc clans.
Okay.
And so yeah, he's like the lord of the clans because all their leaders fell apart a long time ago. I mean, most of them are dead. So
yeah, so I mean Gul'dan, yeah, he's like at the beginning, but then it's like, oh yeah, he's dead. Like later.
Gul'dan got dead. He came back way later, but he got dead.
That wasn't part of the idea
No.
that when this story was written. So
from when this story was written, which is actually based off a story that's probably when this book was written in 2001, was already, I don't know, at least 5 years old, but probably older. When did Warcraft 1 come out?
It was 90 sometime, wasn't it? I don't really know.
Let me look it up real quick. Warcraft 1, Orcs and Humans, came out in 94. So this story was already 7 years old when this came out.
Okay.
So yeah,
the
whole idea.
No spoilers in.
No. Yeah, it's this story is older than we are by like years, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, so Gul'dan comes back. 20 or so years after this book is written. So, it's really not a big deal.
Okay. I mean, I've heard mostly from you, but I looked a little bit online after we talked last night when we were playing Ultima, that a lot of people don't like the writing from the later expansions. But this actually seems like good writing. And as far as like a character goes, Thrall is actually a pretty good one. He's like
Thrall
interesting.
Is the greatest character in Warcraft, at least, and I don't know anyone who would disagree. But people would say Arthas, and Arthas is an amazing character. Jaina Proudmoore is arguably a really good character. I mean, Vol'jin's a good character, but like, I mean, if they were being honest with themselves, it would be Thrall. And maybe that's not fair to say because Thrall has 30 years of novels behind him, where these other characters don't necessarily. But who cares? Doesn't matter.
I mean, I definitely came away liking him. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of, how to put this, like orcs. Generally, I mean, because like in Lord of the Rings, they're always the bad guys. There's no nuance.
And
really
everything, they're the bad guys.
That's
partly why Warcraft was interesting, though. It was one of the first, if not the first thing that took, because anytime you see orcs, elves, really, and even dwarves in somebody's mythology in their world, they stole it from Tolkien. Pretty much end of story. And but everybody, because they stole it from Tolkien, makes orcs bad guys. Ultima made orcs bad guys, anything I can think of. I mean, even for the most part, Warcraft made orcs bad guys, but they're also like not bad guys. They're also good guys. They have nuance to their character, which is like potentially why Warcraft was a hit at the beginning, because it took something that had been established for 50 freaking years at that point almost, and was like, well, we'll change it a little bit. It wasn't just Grubfoot and Stinkbutt, are tearing hobbits apart and saying meat's back on the menu. It was, Orgrim Doomhammer and Duratan Frostwolf are gonna go on an adventure and actually show that they're alive and sentient beings, and they don't just want to eat meat and hurt people.
Well, I mean, I like the nuance of it, especially since I mean, you're coming from games either World of Warcraft or Warcraft that are very. It's like two sides, right? It's one versus the other. Now there are factions in those sides. It seems like, but like, I mean, at least when I was a kid, when I first got exposed to the Warcraft universe, I definitely was just like the Alliance are the good guys, right? Right? Because there's humans, and the
100%.
other side has orcs and undead. So obviously, there's nothing good about them, you know. So
100%. And that's still how most people look at it, actually, to be honest with you. But which is funny. Most people look at it that way, but in book format and movie format, you want the good guys to win. But I don't know if, like, you've played Fable, for example. Everybody plays the bad guy. So Horde is the most popular one, even when they are looked upon as the bad guys, because people want to play the bad guys. But realistically, little do those nerds know they're not necessarily the bad guys. There isn't really a bad guy in this story per se. I mean, there is like the Burning Legion, 100% the bad guys, right? But like the Horde, not really.
makes me want to go get on my. I'm not a huge fan of the the aesthetics of Warcraft. So I always had to go with elves when I played. Or rather, what is it?
Oh,
Are
you're
they
a blood
night
elf.
elves for the Alliance, and there's blood elves for the Horde? I
Yeah,
was always playing
there's a
those.
couple more now.
I
There's
maybe like dwarves. I'd play like a dwarf, like a little bit, but
yeah, dwarves are ugly and wow, they're awful.
yeah. But it's interesting because it actually makes me want to go back and get on my that character I haven't played since was it Battle for Azeroth, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. I actually have an active sub right now.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, that's why when you asked me if I thought it was funny because I've had the sub for over a month and you didn't even ask me to read that book, but like a month ago or whatever. So I had the sub before you asked, and I was like, oh, good timing. I'm playing it right now.
Yeah, well, I've been a fan of Christie Golden's writing before. Like, I've read one of her novels. I had another one after I read the first one I read by her. It's called Instrument of Fate, which I haven't read yet. I couldn't find it, but the first and only novel I read by her before reading Lord of the Clans was Vampire of the Mist, which is actually the first Ravenloft novel. And I read a lot of D&D fiction, and this is actually one of the best ones I've ever read. And it's the only Ravenloft one I've read. Now, and the reason I read this one is because it actually starts in Waterdeep in the Forgotten Realms, before it like sets up the whole Barovia thing. But really freaking good. Like the main character in this book is really compelling. An original to Golding, or Golden, whatever her freaking name is. And so in some ways, I feel like this character is actually better than Thrall. Or at least she's more familiar with him, but that's probably because it's her original creation, while Thrall was not. But I think she did a really good job with Thrall. Taking
Yeah.
a character that isn't hers, which I think she does a good job with, anyways, from what I've heard, right? Because even that recent novel of Sylvanas, I hear she does a better job of making Sylvanas at least somewhat understandable.
Well, she wrote the Arthas novel too, so I mean,
No,
they
interesting.
wouldn't trust her with literally all of their main characters if it wasn't good, or if people didn't like it, and people don't like bad things. So
Yeah, she definitely seems to be a favorite of Warcraft novelists. She mostly writes IP fiction, actually, like StarCraft, Warcraft, other stuff. So,
I didn't even know
Ravenloft.
this book existed. She wrote a book called World of Warcraft Thrall, Twilight of the Aspects. Oh, I gotta
Is that a
read
novel?
it. Yeah. She wrote a Jaina Proudmoore book. These are all the characters I said are good. She wrote a freaking Varian Rin book. World of Warcraft Wolfheart. Oh, she wrote the Vol'jin book, dude. She
So
wrote Illidan's book. Oh no, she didn't.
this
Oh
is
no,
just
okay, she
us
didn't. We're good.
appreciating Christy Golden's writing. Which I've had an idea recently that I kind of wanted to read some more books by some women authors, which I'm not like trying super hard to, but like I just have a ton I physically own that I haven't gotten to. So I was glad I could get the Golden again, because I read Vampire of the Mist back in like 2020, I think, so it'd been a while. Yeah, it'd been like 2 years ago. I finished that thing in July of 2020, I think. So
But I will say, if you are interested in reading like the Warcraft novels, just like the D&D novels, I don't care what Liam says, it's not worth reading all of them.
well, it's probably not. That's why I'm reading all of the Forgotten Realms novels, so you can know which ones are worth it and which ones aren't.
And well, admittedly, I'd say the bad Warcraft novels are probably better than the bad D&D novels, because some of the D&D novels, I'll read Liam's reviews and it looks like some people wrote those books and actually didn't know what D&D was. And so like at least the
All right,
people who
Salvatore,
write,
I'm looking at you.
yeah, exactly. And so some people who write or at least the people who write these books, it's like the same 4 people, and they obviously know about Warcraft. They've been writing the books for 20 years. So
That's fair. You know,
they're always on track. Where the game is off track from its own story, the books aren't, because like I was explaining to you how freaking Garrosh like goes back in time and blah blah blah, and Gul'dan comes back. None of this stuff makes any sense. That book where that gets explained, or really where that happens, is called War Crimes. And I was like, oh, I'm interested. I just clicked on it. I was like, this 100% guarantee this has bad reviews. There's no way it has good reviews. It's where Warcraft story went to poop and everybody started hating it. Nope. It's got a 4.6 out of 5 on Audible, and a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, and a 5 out of 5 on eBay. So apparently it's pretty good.
Wow. Well, who wrote that one?
Christie Golden.
Oh man, okay.
Yeah.
What a surprise. No, she definitely she can, it seems like she makes stuff work that, just anytime really, like, because I mean, like I said, Thrall seemed like he was a decent character anyway. She made it work. He still was a good character in the book. I mean, Thrall is the good guy, right? He's the noble savage almost.
The underdog.
And the bad guys are, the bad guy rather is a human. The mentioning Christie Golden though, real quick, I just wanted to mention I bought other like MMO like books, and I was like, I thought it was actually funny that I was like able to find ones written by authors I've already read before. So like I was okay reading Lord of the Clans because it's written by Golden, and this Guild Wars book is written by Forbeck and Grubb, who I've read before. I love Grubb. And then Rogue's Hour, the EverQuest book's written by Cianson, who wrote a few Forgotten Realms novels. So, actually, it's funny because Christie Golden is known for her Ravenloft novels. But that character of hers, right, in this first one, is a Forgotten Realms character, right? I mean, it starts off in the Forgotten Realms, and so she's actually written several short stories that appear in like Forgotten Realms anthologies, because all those short stories are set in Forgotten Realms. But actually, this character from this book appears in Descent into Avernus.
No, I didn't know that.
He's done really dirty in the adventure. Actually, I kind of hate it because of that.
He gets killed.
Spoiler. Yeah, he's actually in hell being tortured for eternity.
Oh, dude, he's Prometheus.
Yeah, basically. Not quite the same torture, but yeah. So it's really stupid because the character is actually very nuanced in that, and he doesn't deserve it in some ways. Like, he's just kind of cursed because he's a vampire. But like,
Prometheus didn't necessarily deserve it either. Maybe
I don't think Prometheus did, but anyways, yeah. Anyways, I think Golden does a really good job with Thrall, and Thrall is like, it's funny because like the 3 characters in the book that stand out to me are Thrall, who like spoilers talk, right? So he's the son of Durtan and Draka, who Durtan's the chief of the
He's the chieftain of the Frostwolves, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And
I have a figure of him and Orgrim.
Yeah, but they die when he's an infant.
Yeah.
And by basically Gul'dan's like people.
He sends assassins after him.
Yeah, so after they talk to like Orgrim Doomhammer, and then they die. And so Thrall doesn't get killed in the attack because they just want the baby to, die, get eaten by a beast, I think is how they describe it.
Yeah, they basically, they like are like, haha, now baby die, haha. Pretty much what happens.
So, and it doesn't happen because the Blackmore and Tanis, I think Foxton, are out, and they hear this screeching of an animal, which I think is some wounded animal. It turns out to be an orc baby. And Blackmore's like, yes, fate is kind, type of thing. Because, like, I'm going to take this baby and I'm going to train him. He'll be the best of both worlds because he'll be educated like a human, but, brutal and effective on the battlefield like an orc. And then I can take over the Alliance, which is, like, not something I was expecting. I don't actually really know where this book takes place. I know he mentions the Alterac Mountains once, but, like, I don't really even know where that is. My knowledge of like Azeroth, like geography, is pretty poor. I remember I did look up because at the end of this book, Durnhold Keep gets destroyed. I was like, I wonder if that's in game because I imagine it is.
It is.
I looked it up and it is in game, and it's in
you actually get to play through this. You get to play through this whole book in one of the dungeons in Burning Crusade.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it takes you you go back in time with Medivh and you can play through the whole dungeon.
Is Burning Crusade the first expansion or the second one?
It's the first expansion.
What's the second one again?
Wrath of the Lich King.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, Alterac Valley is actually a battleground. It's like the OG battleground in World of Warcraft. It's like if people who have played WoW and played WoW in vanilla are listening to this, they just got PTSD and they're probably crying. They probably turned it off. So because Alterac Valley is like where everybody lost everything and cried and died a lot.
Nice. So it's like it's the wilderness, right? Or something.
I mean, yeah, kind of. A BG is just like you capture points or whatever, and then you have to like make them run out of lives. That's like the very basic version of it. Me and Seamus, they re-released this in one of the expansions, and me and Seamus grinded it out quite a bit, and it made us cry too. So
nice. Is it then mostly like not civilized at this point or something?
What, Alterac Valley?
Yeah.
So it's I mean, you got to think of it as it's eternally a battleground. Like,
okay.
So it's
like ruins and just lots of fighting.
It's like here, I can look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's like 8 different like towers, and one on one end the Horde is encamped, and on the other end the Alliance is, and it's essentially just a war of attrition forever.
Oh, okay, interesting. So it's like on the border where the Horde is and the Alliance.
Yeah,
so except that's where like Thrall.
I think it's technically on Kalimdor, I believe, which is where that's like the Alliance's continent, quote unquote.
So is Orgrimmar on the other continent?
Oh, no, that's the that's the Orcs one. Yes, they're on separate continents.
Okay, but that's one thing I did notice, because like you don't know much. Like you don't. This is very much just a snapshot.
Yeah. If you don't know anything about
Thrall,
Warcraft, this can be mildly confusing because the book is about Thrall. It's not about teaching you the story of Warcraft.
Yeah, like I had no clue where anything was in relation. There is no map in this book. Which
because they want you to
say it's a detriment. I don't think it's needed. I mean,
well, it's not needed because you're supposed to be reading about Thrall.
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily matter where it's taking place. It matters what is taking place, and then if you're interested, you will read more and find out more. And if you're not, then you won't. And it doesn't matter, and it never mattered, in my opinion. Not that it would hurt to have a map, because it would, but they also want you to spend $15 and download the game. So
okay, well, fair. Of course, right now.
Yeah.
I mean that is actually, I think that's what one thing IP fiction is good for, though, because to me it's actually a really good way to get into the story of a world. And personally, that's why I play games in a lot of cases. At least if it's something that I can't do mindlessly. You know what I mean? Like I can get on and play a match of Halo in 8 to 15 minutes. I don't need anyone to play with me to keep me focused. I don't need to be into the story, though I do like Halo's story. It's just fun. You know what I mean? But like World of Warcraft, just like I wasn't ever really particularly grabbed by it. So I only ever really played when I was playing.
Well, because in World of Warcraft, it's I wouldn't say bad, but the problem is there's 2 different stories. So you have to play an Alliance character and a Horde character. And you have to level them. And I mean, leveling was not quick before. It's pretty quick now, but like when we started playing the game, it was not quick. Although, like I said, anybody who played in WoW and is listening, or in vanilla, and is listening to this, they're going to be like, are you kidding me? It's not quick. In vanilla, I'm pretty sure it took like roughly 10 days played. So 24 hours times 10 in the game, playing the game to get to max level. So for reference, right now, if you do it like moderately slowly and casually, it takes about 12 hours. So for reference there, that's 1/20th of what it used to take.
That's not a lot.
No, it's not. But so that's a problem. It's hard to have a great story in an MMO when there's 2 different sides of it and there's enemies and stuff. And so that's partially why WoW is dying as well. Final Fantasy 14 is a much easier to get the story because it's voice acted. There's dialogue options and everybody's getting the same story. There's 3 different like tutorials, quote unquote, and then the story merges at that point and everybody gets the same story. There's no decisions to make or anything, but you get to be your own person. And then it kind of feels like in WoW that you're there you're not even actually there. Because like I said, the fact that you can play through this book is a dungeon in the game, but Taritha's the one who sets the stables on fire. So why are you the one doing it in the game when you know you're not the one who did it? You know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of discrepancies like that, and I think this novel actually does have a couple. We could probably go into more of them here in a second. But I did just want to touch on that. Like, even though I'm not a big fan of Warcraft at all, or World of Warcraft, and I'm pretty sure I need to get myself a membership if I wanted to hop on World of Warcraft, right? But I was like, I want to go look at Durnhol's Keep. You know what I mean? Just like when I read these RuneScape novels when I was younger, I was like, oh yes, let me go to that bedroom in the inn in Falador, just like where these characters are talking. You know what I mean? Like, even though there's literally nothing in that bedroom in the case of RuneScape, but like it like makes me feel more connected to the story. But so.
True.
But I think the other ones.
No bathrooms in RuneScape. Does that make you feel connected?
Sure.
There's outhouses in WoW. It's realistic. No.
Realistic. Wow, yeah. Realism. I think the novel, though, based off what we were talking about yesterday, doesn't explain some things that apparently are there in lore. Like you said, like Thrall was the first green orc.
Yeah, he was like the first green skin orc.
That's not mentioned at all in this novel.
Quote unquote. Well, because Durotan and Draka wouldn't want people to know that.
I guess.
Like, they wanted people to know that, but the people they trusted, because Durotan, you wouldn't know this either because you don't know about it, but Durotan didn't trust Gul'dan from the very beginning.
Yeah, well, do you think it might in some ways be like a slight error, even because like even Blackmore calls all orcs greenskins? Like,
well, because as he would know, they kind of are greenskins, but also the thing is they're portrayed like, it depends on which. The problem is the timeline is so screwed up now that I'm going to get confused. Everybody's going to get confused. But yes, if you go look at Warcraft, Orcs versus Humans, the first Warcraft game, they are all green.
Okay.
But I believe it was retconned at some point that they were not all green. When they drank the blood of Manaroth, they became green. So some of them are, some of them aren't. But turning green and being born green, two different things. You know what I mean? Yeah, Thrall was the first one born green and that's kind of when they realized, oh, we are doomed eternally.
Yeah, there's definitely this like pall, like kind of over the race of orcs, especially since, well, a lot of the other orcs are not just green, I guess, which doesn't really come into the story here, but they have red eyes and they're glowing red eyes. And Thrall doesn't. I think, in fact, Thrall has blue eyes, which apparently is abnormal for orcs.
It is. I think you can't even make blue eyes when you're creating an orc in World of Warcraft. I don't think that's even an option.
Huh. Yeah,
but you can have red eyes,
like dark-colored eyes, but they weren't red. I know that.
I'm pretty sure Draka's were brown because she's in the game still. Actually.
Oh really?
She's the leader of Maldraxxus.
She dead, bro.
Yeah, it's the Shadowlands. That's where dead people go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, BS, by the way. They brought Draka back and not Durotan. Not that Draka is BA. Durotan's a hero. That's like, Durotan is inspiring, and I think they should have brought him back. But
I was shocked when they died, man, because like it's chapter 1. It's not the prologue.
Yeah, and
I was like, oh, these are going to be the main characters. I didn't know it was about Thrall. I didn't read the back. I was like, these are going to be the main characters, Durotan and Draka. I know them because you and Danae played them as characters in D&D before.
Sure did.
Or characters based off of them, at least. And so I was like, oh, this will be the main characters. Like, oh no, they're dead. They're just dead. Get massacred. You know what I mean? Like,
it's kind of the point. I think it's kind of the point. Like, these are the people who were fighting back against the Burning Legion within itself, and they were destroyed. Nobody stands a chance against the Burning Legion.
Apparently. What's the difference between the Burning Legion and the Horde?
The Burning Legion was the Horde. And then the Horde is when they break free of the Burning Legion. So the Burning Legion is demons. The Horde was at the time just orcs. The orcs were under the influence of fell magic and the blood of Manaroth. Manaroth is a demon. Gul'dan was also in cahoots with the demons, and so therefore they were part of the Burning Legion. They broke free of the Burning Legion when they realized, oh, you know what? Maybe Durotan wasn't wrong after all, and we shouldn't have killed him. And you know,
Yeah, you don't get that though in this story. I mean, because again, it's
but that's
all
a different
focused on
story to
Thrall.
tell.
Yeah.
That's what this book's for. That's
Yeah,
what
even
the movie's for. That's what the comics are for.
That even then, it's interesting because you get like these bits and pieces, right? Because like as far as I could tell, Gul'dan was considered like one of the leaders of the Horde, but not war chief.
No,
Because I think that was Orgrim. That
he
was war
was
chief technically.
Blackhand. I think Blackhand was.
Okay.
And then Orgrim took it from Blackhand by killing him.
That's not mentioned at all in this book, so I don't even know what Blackhand is.
Blackhand is the leader of the Black Rock Orcs, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe the Black Hand Orcs. I don't know. One of the tribes. But I mean, he's in the movie.
Okay, I don't
the movie's
remember
not
like
accurate to
anything
the
about
story.
the movie.
He's the huge orc with the black hand.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy, man. Who would have thought?
For real though, the orcs get their names from what they look like and what they do. Frostwolves have wolves and they live in snow.
Well, that was like
Orgrim is of the Doomhammer clan.
That was actually confusing though.
They wield the Doomhammer.
Yes, yeah.
Why?
Well, the Frostwolves thing was confusing because it talks about the Frostwolves with Durotan, right? And it's talking about like they're in exile when they're introduced in this book. Like it's not before that. So they've already come to Azeroth, which was a surprise. Which was something I had to remember too that you told me about, that they're not originally from Azeroth. They're the Frostwolves clan, and they live in the mountains. And their wolves are frosty wolves. You know, they're white, big, snowy mountain wolves. And I was huge. Like, that's the name of their clan. What are the chances that they actually had like snowy mountain wolves on their original place they came from? Like, how the heck? Like,
because man, you got to play WoW. We can go to Draenor in the Warlords of Draenor expansion, and I can show you how they did, because they're from a mountainous area.
Oh, really? Okay.
That is snowy year round. I can't.
I would have just guessed that the Draenor was like more tropical, and they're just.
No,
I don't know why I thought there was no Frostwolves there, but I was like,
it's just like any other planet, you know.
Well, yeah, duh, I'm dumb, but
it's called. Oh crap! What's it called? Frostfire Ridge.
Whoa!
Wow, Frost Ridge. They live in cold mountains.
Okay. Anyways, there was that, and then I was funny because I was reading. I read this review on Goodreads actually about this book before I finished it. It didn't have any spoilers in it, at least not the parts I read. And he was funny because he was saying, like, the guy was saying, Thrall is my favorite orc, and I didn't even really like orcs. And by the time I ended this book, Orgrim Doomhammer was my favorite orc. And I was like, that's interesting. And then he has like a whole picture of Orgrim Doomhammer in his review, and I was like, and then I get to the end of the book, he's like, Orgrim's dead. Like, what? Like, I mean,
yeah, but he's awesome.
I mean, he's a good character. Awesome. I liked him, but like even then, I felt like as far as like characterization went in the book, I felt like I can't even remember his name. The shaman, I felt like got more development. I mean, maybe outside Doomhammer gets more development, and I realized that Orgrimmar was obviously named after him.
Yeah, Doomhammer's story is over by time World of Warcraft started.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it's over. It's over. Like he's dead. It's over. But I mean, Orgrimmar is built in Durotar. The country it's in is named after Durotan, and the city is named after Orgrim, because they're both very important characters. But if you only played WoW or only read the WoW books and not the Warcraft books, you would never know that, and you would just be like, "Wow, that's weird." Durotar and Thrall's dad's name is Durotan. Orgrimmar and Orgrim. Wow, that's weird.
Why are you gonna say it like that?
Because it's silly. You can just Google it, but
you can just Google it.
Or you could read a book. I mean, I don't know about all of them, but if they're all, I'm pretty sure most of the Warcraft book, at least the first 3, Day of the Dragon, this one, and whatever the next one's called, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure they're all like 300 pages with like 20 words on each page. So they were realistically like 100 pages. So
it's really not a long book at all, honestly.
No, if I could read it in one session, it's not a long book. So.
It's funny though, because like it was just kind of a surprising journey though for me, because like I knew it's probably good, right? Because like I knew nothing about Thrall.
Yeah.
Like I kind of got the idea that he was important in the Horde. I could have guessed that he was the war chief, considering he's called Lord of the Clans. But like, I didn't know freaking jack crap about it. I didn't know he grew up a slave. You know,
That's his
I should
name,
have
bro.
guessed because his name is Thrall.
Yeah.
You know, right? Like, I'm not thinking about this very deeply. It's freaking Warcraft. I don't care. But and then like, I didn't know that happened. I didn't know he was a shaman. Like, I wouldn't have guessed at all actually about that. Even though knowing your ideas on the Horde, you know, and you just play the Horde really exclusively these days, is I would not have guessed, oh, shamans, orcs, good guys. Wow. You know, like I would have guessed
Vanilla
more along the
WoW.
line of warlocks. But
Well, they have warlocks
anything.
too, but
Yeah. But,
anybody can be a warlock. You know, it's just like because there's human warlocks. It's just a matter like not Ner'zhul. Ner'zhul is an orc warlock, but he was a shaman. What's his name? Like one of the most popular characters in WoW. He was the final boss of Naxxramas. He's one of the main bosses of Shadowlands. What is his freaking name? Oh,
I have no clue, man. Hope it comes to you.
he's a lich now, but he was, I believe, a warlock, a human warlock before. Lich Naxxramas. That's what I'm going to type into Google. Elthazad. You need to read some books.
You're telling me.
But anyway, yeah. In WoW, in vanilla WoW, only the Alliance could have paladins, and only the Horde could have shamans.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because the Horde
That
was
makes sense.
inherently not attached to the light, and the Alliance was inherently not attached to their planet, which was it's a commentary on it as a whole. You know, where the Horde wanted a place to belong, and the Alliance was like, no, this is ours, but they're not even attached to their own freaking planet. The elements don't even speak to them. But
That's
they speak to the
interesting.
Horde.
That's weird. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Actually, that was actually one of the things I ended up liking about the book, about as like far as like the kind of the themes went. And I think maybe it's an overarching theme of just Warcraft as a whole. Because like I mentioned earlier, when I just at a first glance, I think, okay, humans, good guys, Horde, orcs, stuff, bad guys. You know what I mean? And like it's very black and white. And I was reading this, I was like, well, this is a very gray picture. Okay, and like I wasn't expecting that, right? Because you have someone like Taretha, who's a great character. You know, she's a very loving character. You can put it that way, compassionate. And Thrall, though, who's like very determined, but he's also like he's somewhat naive at the beginning, but he becomes more of a well, I mean, I guess you could say good guy, a liberator figure. He's the noble savage type of figure, like a Conan or Tarzan type of thing, almost.
But he's not an anti-hero like Conan.
Yeah, right.
He is a hero like Tarzan.
He is a good guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting. But then you also have like these, like, the Foxtons, Taretha's parents, are very gray characters. They're just like doing most of their things so they can survive. You know what I mean? Like,
but you also have to think that at this time in Warcraft, there isn't really even an alliance per se. Like there is, but they're not like what they are now. I don't think the Night Elves were really part of it yet, and so like they didn't. And the gnomes were, but only by the fact that the dwarves were, and so on and so forth. And so like the world, I guess it's like think of it as like the United States when people moved west for the first time. It's kind of like that. Like, you know, if you step out of your house, you might die. I don't know. So it's best to just stay in Durnhold Keep and do what this monster tells us to do than make a difference or try to make a difference.
That idea actually, which I just thought was interesting because like the Foxtons kind of get by, but like, you know, they don't feed this baby Thrall out of like breastfeed baby Thrall out of like compassion. It's more of just like, gotta help ourselves, man. So let's help those babies.
Well, yeah, but you also have to think that like, I don't know. The masses, even in real life, do what they're told, right? So
yes,
in books and everything else, it's all based on reality. They do what they're told. And so if they're told orcs are bad guys, and then they're also told breastfeed this orc, why? He's the bad guy, isn't he? You know? And that might even make them question it more so.
By it.
Is he the bad guy? I don't know. Now, that didn't happen to them, but it would happen to a free thinker.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because you can almost forget it too that Taretha kind of likes the orc Thrall at the beginning, but
Oh
then
yeah,
her baby brother dies,
yeah.
and so she sees Thrall kind of as his brother, right? It's not this like weird like sexualized thing
No, it's
that I
not.
could see maybe some people doing or wanting, but
It wouldn't even
it's
work.
very much a friendship that is kind of sweet. But then you also have like even someone like Blackmore, Adalus, whatever his name is. Um, he's basically an evil character. He's really bad. He does basically just all
Oh,
bad things, but
he's
he's very
chaotic evil.
nuanced because he's like in a sense he's more of he's a product of his crappy situation in some ways. You know what I mean? Like he still made the wrong choices in a lot of ways. You know, like he you can tell he straight up struggles with alcohol. You know what I mean? Like he is an alcoholic. You know, he's suffering with alcoholism, and that's interesting, right? Because it paints him as a different character. Like he feels betrayed by Taretha's friendship with Thrall when he finds out, and he does the worst thing ever by having her killed. You know what I mean? And he seems to be like kind of torn over that. You know what I mean? But he's
Oh,
just a,
100%.
I mean, he's a monster. You know, what I mean?
He
He's still a
dies
monster. It
for
doesn't
it.
yeah, that's
Spoilers.
right. It doesn't like he's not excused for it. But in some ways, like even Thrall mostly just pities him at the end. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
he's
but you also
mad,
have to remember
but
that, and this is a fun fact, but Thrall cries when he throws Taretha's head at him.
yeah.
And that is literally the only time Thrall has ever cried ever. Since then and before that. That's the
Yeah,
only time he's
I
ever done
remember
it.
he was like surprised, and he recalls when Taretha had cried when he had left initially to go and find his people and stuff.
Yeah, but
And
I think that is for like to say, hey, reader, orcs have feelings too.
no, I thought it actually was really good. I mean, considering in some ways how basic the story is, going in knowing nothing about it was really nice for me. Because I mean, I had my assumptions. It's Warcraft, right? But like I was touched by that scene actually. I was like, I was like disgusted, enraged. He was like, Thrall, you go and kill that son of a gun, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but then I was happy at the same time, like Sergeant doesn't die in the fight, which is nice because Sergeant's a good character. It's funny that he's just called Sergeant. Does he get a name ever? I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
That's interesting. So, but that was actually a very touching scene. Actually, I thought that the ending was really good. And then, like shortly after I finished, I came and played some Ultima with you. But it was nice. It was nice. I was like, I was surprised, just to say the least. I was like, I wasn't expecting much, even though I knew Golden was a good character, like a good writer. And it might have partially just been because it's Warcraft, but also because it's not her character. You know what I mean? Like, because I was touched by um, Jander, who's the main character in Vampire the Mist. You know what I mean? But that's also her character. So
It just sounds like Golden's good at writing. I don't know. When I finished that book, I wanted to die so bad. It's not. I don't know. It's not fun. It's not fun, but it's also like, yeah, he won.
yeah,
Taretha's dead. Like, wow, I want to die.
dude, I was not expecting Taretha to be dead. Like,
I
I
wasn't
expected
either.
the crap to be out of her. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
like when
I
he
expected
threw,
her to be beaten
like,
and maybe treated like a slave, and Thrall would go in the camp and free it and find her with a chain
yeah,
around her neck, or
or like, yeah, I expected her maybe to die from like an excessive beating, like her just wounds were too much, and
yeah. And Thrall
Blackmore's
goes
too
out to
drunk to
her.
like give her a salve or
He
anything. But
kills Blackmore, and then he holds her in his arms, and he's like, "No, you'll be okay." But that didn't happen. He just had her freaking head lobbed at him.
yeah, I was like, holy crap, man! What are you trying, like,
What a
why you
twist!
gotta play with us all like this? You
It's
play
like
with
that.
Thrall's emotions, or play with my emotions too,
It's
which
like
was
that
like,
character from
yeah.
Robot Chicken. Ooh, what a twist!
Oh my.
It was so good. Oh, it's
I don't
so
know.
good.
I was impressed. I was impressed, definitely. And I definitely was like, like this isn't like high literature by any means. I mean, it's kind of what you expect with IP fiction, but it's not even that bad, actually. Like, it's
No,
not
it's
exactly
good.
what you
You're
expect with
wrong,
IP
bro.
fiction.
It's good.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's good. So like it made me want to read more. I was like, I was looking at Rise of the Horde after I finished it. I was like, maybe I should read Rise of the Horde.
That's the next one to read if you're gonna read another one. If you're interested in Thrall's story. I think it's best to learn about the world through a character. That's my opinion. Because you'll read about Thrall and he'll come across Orgrim. And now you'll be like, oh, I want to learn about Orgrim. So you go learn about Orgrim. And then Orgrim comes across Duratan. You're like, I want to learn about Duratan. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm ready to learn about Thrall more because these stories are over because they're prequel stories. And then
Right.
Thrall comes across Jaina. And now you're like, I want to learn about Jaina. Jaina is very much connected to Arthas. So now you're like, oh, I want to learn about Arthas. And then you learn about the Lich King, and then you're like, holy crap, now I know literally everything that matters about World of Warcraft, and it only took that long.
That's interesting. I do kind of like I do kind of have like a slight interest in like the Elves of Warcraft. I don't know if I'll ever read any of those, but yeah, I am still contemplating reading or even ordering.
The elves are actually extremely interesting.
Well, I always thought they seemed a little interesting. But isn't one of is it the Night Elves who actually have like a god on their side?
Yeah.
Seems overpowered. But
don't ask me these questions. Dang it. It's like a Lunith or something like that. You know, obviously it's got to have Loon in its name. But
yeah, right.
Crap. I'm just gonna type in a Lunith and see what happens. Yeah,
but even like
World of
even
Warcraft.
Sylvanas, she's a blood elf originally, right?
Wait, this is somebody's character from the actual game. Sylvanas is a high elf.
Okay,
there's high elves. It's actually very similar to Tolkien's, funnily enough.
I'm sure you've told us before, but I don't remember.
So in Tolkien, it's like there's like high elves or whatever, and then there's the elves who go straight to Valinor, and then there's the ones that stay on Middle Earth, right?
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of details too. Yeah, but essentially
that's the vague story. Okay, yeah. That's the vague story here as well. There's the high elves. Some of them stay with the Sunwell. The other ones go the other way, night elves, and then there's the ones that stay high elves. The high elves still exist. They just not a lot of them. And then the night elves are the thriving one, and the blood elves were reliant on the Sunwell, which is this whole thing. I'm not going to explain it because I don't know how to. It gets destroyed, and now the only way that they can get what they needed to be alive, because the Sunwell is destroyed, is by blood. So they drink blood. And then there's also a few elves in between, actually, now that we're released in Battle for Azeroth, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Legion. There's the Void Elves, which are
Forgot about that.
And the Nightborn.
I kept on trying to get those unlocked, but I don't think I ever did.
I have every Alliance race unlocked in the entire game. That's what I've been when I said I went back a month ago, I have only been playing Alliance. What? So at the beginning of this, when you said I'm exclusively Horde, you're wrong, bro. Yeah, but guess what? In the newest update, which was like 3 weeks ago, you can party up Alliance and Horde now. So if you do want to go back and play, you can play whatever the hell you want, and we can play together. So,
that's interesting because I don't know, that reminds me of EverQuest, because there were some like races that are kind of considered evil and kind of bad, but if you go to the right places, you can just party up. It doesn't matter anyways. There's a lot more than just two factions, but
well, I mean, yeah, there's like Dark Elves can't go in like any city, basically.
Yeah.
Well, they can nowadays, but they couldn't in the old expansions.
Yeah.
But
you're restricted to Neriak, bro.
Yeah, well, but the thing is, if you came in on a Wood Elf in Neriak, we could party up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can still be friends with me. The guards just won't like you, and vice versa.
Unless you change your faction a lot, which is kind of grindy and hard. But
yeah, that's not something you would ever do in EverQuest. not ever switch it back and forth. You would maybe switch it once and then never do it again.
Fair. That's interesting, though. I didn't know you could. That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I would. I just said Olunid is the god's name, but that's an elf from RuneScape, so that's not that. Wow. I can't remember her name, too many bro.
Games, it seems like.
I'm just typing in Night Elves now. We'll see what happens. Tyrande Whisperwind is the chick, and she has the god's power in her right now, and I can't remember her name. I'm going to die.
That's okay. You can die later, not on screen. But so I don't know. I guess my final thoughts are that this is surprising. I like Golden's writing. It's not like anything extravagant. I mean, as far as it goes, her storytelling capability is good. Her character work is good. Her prose is just rather straightforward. I mean, it's not like flowery. It's not blunt even. It's just what it is. It tells a good story. And I want to read more. That's my thought, actually. So I called that a success, even though I didn't think the novel was great. I mean, the fact that it got some emotion out of me with mostly Taretha's death, I was like, I want to read more. That's success in my mind. Because sometimes I'll think a book is better than this, but I won't necessarily want to read more, or at least not want to read it anytime soon. At the end. And even though I thought this book was good, maybe not great, I was still at the end. Was like, I want to read more. Like
Fair.
that is something I'd like to do. So it probably will be. Oh wow, I just forgot what it's called. The Horde one. Anyways. Rise of the Horde. So.
That's what I'm gonna read next. But Elune. It's just Elune.
Wow, how basic. Okay.
Yep.
It's
Anyway.
like it's like in Forgotten Realms, the goddess of the moon is Selûne, which is just a mix of Selene and Luna.
Nice. This one is literally just and Loon, the moon, a loon. It's the moon, literally. I mean, I don't really have any final thoughts in the book. Because nobody cares about my opinion, because I've read probably 20 books in 20 years. So, good book.
Nice.
I like it. If you want to know more about World of Warcraft or Warcraft in general, and like I'm talking from the very beginning of lore, like going over how the worlds were created, the Titans, things like that. World of Warcraft Chronicles.
I forgot you had that.
This is book 1. There's 4, I think. This will go over the primal gods, how they created the planets, everything.
Those are rather pricey though, probably, right?
These are Walmart books, but yeah, they're $40, I think.
Okay, that's not too bad. It could be
and
worse.
You can definitely they're released by Dark Horse, who is a comic book publisher, which means you can definitely get these secondhand for like $5 probably if you just look on eBay, to be honest with you, because no one wants this anymore, but it is interesting information. I would sell mine for $5 because I've already read it and I don't need it anymore. Just so, yeah. And then also, if you're interested in the story even more so, you can just Google the cinematics from World of Warcraft and Warcraft, and you will get the whole story just in cinematics, and you can basically watch it as a movie. So there's that as well. You won't get any in-depth character development for any characters at all, but you will get the vague story of everybody. There's a channel on YouTube, Nobble, Nobbel. He has like one video that's called The Full Story of the Lich King. It's like literally 6 hours long, and that is the full story of the Lich King. For reference, he has that for like almost every main character. He has one for Thrall, Sylvanas, Arthas, everybody. So there's ways to do it as well without reading if you're not a reader, like myself, because these are the ways I've done it. So because this is literally the only book I've read in the series, and I have not played Warcraft 1, 2, or 3. I've only played WoW, and you don't get a good story in WoW. So,
oof.
Well, you did when we first started playing. You don't need more.
I just looked, and there is actually an audiobook version of Lord of the Clans too. So.
Wait, you know what?
Like audiobooks.
I think it actually says that in the back.
Does it? I mean, I bet it's really short. Let me check. Maybe it's 8 hours and 5 minutes. That's
crap.
That's pretty short.
That is really short.
So.
That means you could read it in 4 hours, though.
I wonder, does Rise of the Horde have one?
Probably. Check Audible.
Probably. I'd imagine it does.
Let's get sponsored by Audible. And by let's, I mean you get sponsored by Audible, because
Rise of the Horde does have one as well. It's 11 hours and 2 minutes, so it's a little longer for sure.
Wait, I have a credit.
Me too.
I kind of want to read War Crimes.
Oh man.
Oh, it is on here.
I bet they're all on there, honestly.
It's only 13 hours long.
You don't have to listen at one-time speed either. You can listen to it faster.
Yeah, I'm moving soon. I'm going to drive across the country. I might listen to that. Okay, anyway. Is that it?
Yeah, I think that'll be it. So, yeah, thanks for talking to me about it. I thought it'd be fun too, even though mostly because I'm coming in as a novice, so to speak. Thought it'd be fun to share the experience, kind of. So, thanks for joining me, Colin.
Yeah, I'll do it again if you ever read one of the 3 books I've read.
Yeah, of course. No, I definitely do want to read especially The Moon is a Harsh Mistress at some point.
Yeah, so. You got to read that. And then we can both read Stranger in a Strange Land.
Oh, yeah.
Book 2, 3, 4 of Horus Heresy, Rise of the Horde. It's getting longer.
If I do get through, eventually I imagine I will, if I do get through all the original trilogy of Horus Heresy, I do want to talk about that probably too. So, but Anyways,
I gotta work on it.
yeah, same. I need to read 2 and 3 still, and so I should probably do that before I forget everything that happened in 1. Anyways, this has been Liam's Lyceum. Thanks again, Cullen. Again, I should have a review for this, spoiler free, at some point. Whenever you're watching this, I don't know. So, but catch you next time. Peace.